How's about now? Let me check my settings, audio. Okay, I'm sorry. For some reason, it was muted. You missed all my witty banter at the very beginning about me dancing and how you gotta love Hey Hey. That was really it. That was all the witty banter. Nothing else was there. So, ta-da. How are you doing, Kaylee and Monique, and everybody else who's here, and all the folks watching the replay? I'm just going to quickly do the everyone. Dun, dun, dun. Oops. Oh my God. I wrote at everyone and then didn't actually write the everyone comment. At everyone. I'm getting there. It's lunch with Mail. I feel like it's like a game show host or something. We're talking click testing, Omnibus Marketing, and your backlist. There we are. All right. My everyone post is made. Hello, Jill Cooper. How are you? And Delta and Dharma. Wait, there's no sound on, unless you're just starting back at the beginning, Dharma. You might be delayed. Sound showed up. It did, I swear. Wow, 2 minutes in, there's already 15 people here. Well, it's because my mic plug was loose and I was adjusting my mic and then I unplugged my mic, so I plugged it back in. And then Discord, or not Discord, this is StreamYard that I used to stream. StreamYard was like, we lost your mic, so we muted you, which doesn't actually make any sense, does it? Because it's like, when I plug my mic back in, I'm not going to know. But yes, I do too actually have. No sound on YouTube. If you were back at the very beginning of the stream, Dharma, it might not have been there, but I think Monique is on YouTube and can hear it, so I think it would have eventually been there. So how's everyone doing? Towards hopefully the tail end of winter, right? Like we actually had a legit cold snap here in Massachusetts, and we're theoretically supposed to get snow on like Tuesday, and we got like a quarter inch that turned to ice right away. I think further inland they actually did have snow, but we're right on the coast, so we get just rain a lot. But let's see. I'm deeply concerned with the weather at this moment because I want it to warm up. And it's not. It's going to be cold until next Wednesday, until it gets back in the 40s again. Damn. For folks who don't speak freedom units, I say that tongue in cheek, like around like 8 to 10 is the mid 40s, 8 to 10 Celsius. All right. Oh, good. I'm glad it's there now. That's awesome. Thanks, Dharma. So yeah, you can see down there that seedling planting has started. Those bottom boxes are my seed containers. I get photo organizational boxes. So each one of those boxes has like these smaller little things for 4x6 photos and can probably fit like 50 photos in there. And I put seed packets in there and then label everything. So that's my seed packet boxes. And I got warming mats for seedling trays. And I got some seedling trays there that have their own little lights built into the lids. So, oh, that is a cold walk to the gym. Ouch. Yeah, I mean, I hope it warms up in March. It's supposed to. So I planted seedlings on Sunday. And as of yesterday, some of them were already coming up. So I'm super stoked about that. They're all out in my greenhouse, though, which has a heater and also I have lights for the seedlings and everything. Although they don't need it right now because it's been really sunny. It's like it's been cloudy and warm for like 2 weeks, and now it's sunny and cold. It's kind of funny how that happens. Hello, Amir. I think that's it. I think I've said hi to everybody who said hi. Say hi if you're here. I always love to hear who's around. Yasmin, hi. 63. Oh my goodness, Delta. Wait, don't you live in Florida or something like that? Or if you're Florida, if you're West Coast, or your Carolinas, I don't know. But yeah, it's been a fun spring. This has been these last 6 weeks, I think, are the busiest I have been in, I feel like, since my like mid-20s. But things are going great for the writing wise. We've just got a lot going on, and we've hired 2 ad analysts now. So, I'm busy with all the things, and I'm training the ad analysts. But starting this week, I've got them doing work now, and actually like doing their first bits of analysis the way that we do it, and I'm stoked about that. The Treasure Coast. I don't actually know where the Treasure Coast is. No, I'm not doing a gas mask live stream again, Amir. I'm sorry. You'll have to survive without that. I did that one time, and now people are like clamoring for it whenever I get on YouTube, apparently. You actually can't see them. They're out of frame, but the gas masks are on the wall up there. Hello, Martin. I don't know where the Treasure Coast is in Florida, though. I'm gonna have to look into that. Is it like east or west? Anyway, so a couple of things I want to talk about today. I have some Jill, actually, by the way, just so you guys know, Jill's my topic person. I'm always like on the day of like, what do I talk about? I don't know. I'm always like in the weeds, And then Jill's like, well, you should talk about this, this, and this. And she apparently has nightmares about me asking her what to talk about for topics, and then she doesn't know. But somehow we managed to make it work. So I feel like that's true for a lot of things in life, right? Just you make it work when you need to. That's how it goes. Wow, snow in the morning near Seattle. Damn. Bellevue doesn't help me at all, Delta. I have no idea where Bellevue is. I've got nothing. I know where Tampa and St. Pete's and Orlando and Miami are. Okay. So is that like near like Space Coast area? I know where Space Coast is because I went to the Space Coast Writers Conference across the inlet from Cape Canaveral. But yeah, so I want to talk about click testing first. So I don't know if anyone's seen this, but I've seen a lot of ads for click testing lately. Different people doing click testing. Some of the ads are just for like Facebook advertising in general, and some of them are aimed towards authors. And I do know a couple of author coaches who push click testing as a way of like figuring out which ads are going to work best. And there's a couple of different parts of click testing. One of them is the first part is that you make a whole bunch of ads with a whole bunch of different pieces of text, and they've all got the same image, and you test which one of those gets to something like 400 clicks first. And then you do the same thing with the images. You take your winning piece of text, and then you test it against a bunch of different images, and you see which of those get to 400 clicks first, and then theoretically that's your winning combo, which interestingly is not really significantly different than what dynamic creative does behind the scenes. Although dynamic creative might pick a group of winners and serve those winners to different people based on what those people are likely to click, whereas click testing is trying to find one ring to rule them all kind of situation, one text image combo to rule them all. And so every now and then, I'm talking about this because every now and then people ask me about click testing, and I kind of feel like it's an interesting one to explain. And the whole idea is like trying to figure out rapid fire which combination is going to work the best. And you'll run like 5 to 10 tests on the text and then 5 to 10 tests on the images. And, if you're getting 10 cents a click, 400 clicks is going to cost you $4, right? Is it? I have a rule. No in-head math on camera. 400 clicks times 0.1. $40, right? My decimal was, I'm like 10 cents has 2 decimal points, so I moved the decimal by 2, but of course it doesn't. This is why I don't do math when I'm talking. I use the calculator when I'm talking. I can do math just fine when I'm not also talking. Anyway, oh, did you watch Moana? Nice. I love Moana. I met someone the other day, and they're like, I don't watch Disney animated cartoons, so I don't know who Hey Hey is. I'm like, don't worry. It's going to be live action soon. You can watch The Rock do it again. So yeah, so think about if it's a race to 400 clicks, and let's just say, just for argument's sake, that all of them got very close to 400 before one finally crossed over that threshold. You're looking at, let's say you only ran 5 tests. That's $200 to test for your text and $200 to test for your images before you get that win. Yep. Don't do math in public. That works too, Troy. And I agree, Kelly. It's a risk, isn't it? Ballparking things like verbally while you're talking. It's danger land. So click testing could run you as much as $400 to find the winning piece of text and images. But I've run a lot of ads, a lot of ads. Like at this point, I've managed millions of dollars worth of ad spend on Facebook. And what I found is that the thing that gets the most clicks in Facebook is not necessarily the thing that sells the most. There's no easy way to say like this did XYZ in Facebook, therefore it's going to sell better than another combination. The only way to see what sells better, to be honest, is direct sales. When you're marketing to a retailer like Amazon or Apple or whatever, you cannot ever definitively find out which combination is actually selling better. In as much because of Amazon's crappy reporting as anything else. Whereas if you do direct sales, you can actually directly correlate a user in Facebook to a human being who purchased on, say, your Shopify site and figure it out. And that's the thing, right? Most people who aren't authors and who are doing large scale marketing campaigns are selling direct, or they have a conversion event on their own website. So they can do that real tracking. They can combine their click testing tracking with their actual sales data and come up with a result. And also, when you're a big marketing company, and you're about to launch a new product or something like that, and you've got a big splash you want to do for a new piece of software that's coming out or a new gadget that you've built, you can't spend months doing like low speed testing to try and figure out which thing works. It's actually more expensive at a certain point for them to use the human time to run long-term testing than it is just to run, let's just go and build up 30, 40, 50 combinations, test them all at a high spend over the course of 3 or 4 days, get our answer, and then go for there. That's actually cheaper for a company than doing a long-term test, having to pay employees to be managing things over the long term and whatnot, and have meetings about it, and yada yada yada. So I've worked in situations where we do things like that, where we'll spend a bunch of money on information gathering and then do some rapid iteration and then like roll out our big campaign based off of that. That works great when you're doing direct sales and when you manage the conversion event on your site. It's a form, it's a purchase event, whatever. You can actually track in real time the sales, which you cannot do with the retailers. They're just muddy. There's delays, there's inaccuracies, there's missing data, and you don't know, is it missing data or is it not? I can kind of see sometimes when missing data happens because I can see the same patterns emerge across like dozens of client accounts, but for the individual, it's really hard to see that sort of thing, which is why I don't actually do click testing with ads. And why I don't necessarily advocate it if you're selling on the retailers. A much better way of doing it is running small, like segmented tests where you're use dynamic creative and find your best images and your best text from there, because you can do breakdowns and see which ones are working the best, get rid of the ones that aren't, and then let those ads roll, and then start looking at conversions and start saying like, am I actually getting sales off of these combinations or not? And then you can prune and adjust from there. But you're always keeping an eye on conversions and sales, and you do that through Amazon attribution as best you can. It's been flaky this month, Amazon attribution, but it's generally pretty useful. It's still better than what it used to be like, right? Where you couldn't see anything. And so another thing that some people do, like the ammo course is a click testing course, but its focus is based on using a landing page on your website. So rather than sending people to a retailer and kind of hoping that they sell, you have a landing page on your website and you use that. You have some sort of conversion event there. You use that to measure whether or not you actually got conversion. But the tricky thing is that, the website that you have is different than the Amazon sales page. So it's always one of those things where it's as long as you're doing the retailers, it's going to be, the fog of war is thick enough that you can't make any positive, like 100%, this particular thing caused this particular result. There's just too much uncertainty between point A and point B to say exactly how you got there. So just some thoughts on that. And I'm sure like whenever you see ads on Facebook saying, thousands of authors are making millions by using this particular method, FOMO sets in, right? Like you're like, I get it too. I'm like, oh my God, is there some sort of technique that I'm not teaching people that maybe I should, you know? And I'll look into it, I'm like, oh, okay, it's just a fancy marketing term for this other thing I already know about. Like 9 times out of 10, that's what it is. And sometimes I'm like, does this really make sense? Is this really the best idea? And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. And the one that continues to plague us all is the super broad targeting, which does work sometimes. Dharma has had, who's in the chat, has had super broad targeting work. But I was cautioning this one author today. She writes sex club books, and I'm like, for the love of Mike, do not use broad targeting with your BDSM club romance novels, because you're going to get some very well-meaning folks who disagree morally with you, who will report your ads and get them shut down. So you need to target clearly so that your ads don't show to the wrong people, because that can be detrimental. But the broader your audience is, the better the broad targeting stuff can work. So just 20 minutes of Mallory rambling about that sort of thing. I get like no questions. No one had any questions about that. Yay! I explained it perfectly. Ta-da! My 3D printer's going there in the background. Oh, it just finished. It just finished the print. You guys can probably see the 3D printer. I always point the wrong way because the image is reversed. My 3D printer there, I just got it on Sunday, and I've printed all sorts of things with it. And one of the things I've found with 3D printers, where the filament spool is on the top, is that as the printer moves back and forth, because it'll move 500 millimeters a second, which is 50 centimeters a second, which is like, it can move like a couple of feet a second. It will wobble back and forth at the top because it's got this 2 kilogram weight, 5 pound weight up on the top. So I'm making a mount right now. I think my 3D printer print parts for my 3D printer. It's very meta. I'm going to mount the filament to the wall. And I've actually just been playing with these cable management things I got. You're not seeing the usual way chat works. Well, your books are niche, Dharma, but you write thrillers, and thrillers the second largest genre. So, if you write, like I write niche books in a subgenre of a subgenre, so there's definitely some angles there, but there's niche and genre, and then there's appeal too, and like that gets into like heat levels and kink and risque stuff, reverse harem, poly, all that sort of thing. Can make it really difficult. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, then you have someone fanning. That's always awesome, right? When you find another author sees you in the wild and fans over you. It's pretty fun. So yeah, that's my thoughts on click testing. I think it definitely can work. I think it's a tactic that's absolutely used at larger scales. But it's a tactic that's used for specific circumstances. One of the things I always say to people is like, the things that you do to get started are different than the things that you'll do to accelerate your business when you're further along, right? So, and then the analogy I use is that the things that you'll do to get a car moving from, like, say your car is not running, it's completely stopped, has no gas. How will you get that car moving? Well, throw it in neutral and push it, or call a tow truck, or get another car to push it, or something like that. Those are some of the ways you can get a car moving when it has no gas and is sitting at 0 miles an hour. When your car is driving at 60 miles an hour, any one of those three things would probably have detrimental effects. Trying to hook a tow truck up to your car while it's driving at 60 miles an hour to get it move faster, probably not the best idea. Pushing it could work. There are some tactics that can work in both situations. Stepping outside of your car, opening your door and putting a foot on the pavement to try and push your car when it's fast, when it's going 60 miles an hour, also isn't going to work. And likewise, opening up the hood and pouring gas in the engine, like down the carburetor, if you have an older carburetor car, trying to get the thing to start, probably not going to work when the car is already driving. You're probably going to light yourself on fire. So, and of course, and so that's just accelerating what you're already doing. But then you think about someone moving on a different scale. You're driving a car down a highway. What kind of things are you going to do to make that work faster? And then over there on the horizon is SpaceX getting ready to launch Spaceship One, hopefully. Um, you know, what they're doing to get their thing to move at the speed and in the direction they need their vehicle to move versus what you're going to need to do to get your vehicle to move in the speed direction it needs to move are entirely different things, and would be like life ending if either group tried to use the other person's thing. If you tried to put gasoline in the rocket or rocket fuel in your engine, for example, would probably have very detrimental effects. Or if you laid the rocket down horizontally and you put your car up vertically, like I'm using it's sort of a crazy, silly example, but that sort of like explains like there are marketing tactics that you as an author, even as a 7-figure author, will do that are still not the same marketing tactics that Microsoft is going to do when they're launching a new product, and vice versa. What you're doing wouldn't work for them either. And that doesn't mean that one method is better than the other. It's just that the methods, the goals are different, the product's different, the time frames are different, the workforce is different. So many things are different. And so keep that in mind when you think about like a when you hear of like a different way of marketing or a different way of selling, sort of think about like, who's this for? Is this for someone just getting started? Is this for a business that's up and running, that's bigger? Who's the intended audience of this thing? Because I'll tell you, when people are selling different courses and stuff like that, especially when it's like a low cost course, they're just happy to sell to anyone. They oftentimes don't say this particular thing I'm teaching is only for people here, and they don't spend a lot of time excluding people from their sales pitch. I find not some do, absolutely some do exclude people from their sales pitch. Like with us at the Writing Wives, we actually it's gone completely the other way now, where we interview clients basically to see if they're a right fit for us, because I believe so firmly, and so does the whole team, that we only want to work with people that we think we can be successful with. We don't want to take money from someone that we don't think we can be successful with. And that could be whether we don't think they're ready or not, or whether we just don't think that our tactics and strategies will work well for them. Whatever the case might be, they're not where they need to be in their career. Their books aren't where they need to be. We want to make sure that it's like a good use of their money as much as anything else. Because I'm not interested in just taking people's money just to do it. Because I have to be on video calls with them. With a person, some of whom are here, and actually feel like I can actually do the thing that we're trying to do. I really don't want to be on a call where I can't do the thing that I'm trying to do. So that's just kind of my thoughts there. Yeah, that is something that does happen. You're right, Dharma. Sometimes the thing that works for you in your niche, or like even like the teaching method that works for a certain person, like the way that I teach doesn't work for everybody. It's not universal. And I'm sure that everybody's found that. You'll find people that they're what they're teaching seems to work for some people, but not for you. And sometimes that can just be the teaching method. I'm also very like video. I talk, you listen, I demonstrate, you watch and take notes kind of teacher. Some people that doesn't work. Some people, they need to read it. They need to read step-by-step stuff. So it can really vary as well based on whether you're a visual, auditory, reading learner, whatever it might be. So totally all valid. So I'm not saying that anyone's courses are wrong. Like I say, like Clicktesting, well, I don't think it's a great thing for authors, especially authors at lower. It's a lower end and or who are not direct selling. I don't think it's a great fit for them, but it's absolutely something that you'll do at a higher scale, and you'll see being used all the time in corporate marketing. Well, you're welcome, Rosa. I feel like it might be a little bit of a rare philosophy. I hope it's not. Oh, actually, I fell shy of putting things on the screen. I'm supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to like chastise me. No, it's my fault. I'm not turning this back around on you. But if you do wonder what I'm responding to, just say like, hey Mel, can you put that on the screen? Tactile learner. I'm very much a tactile learner too. If I can't be doing it, or I won't learn until I do it. And then what's happened? So if I ever take a course, what usually happens is I skim through the course material or half-ass watch the videos or something like that, and then I sit down to do it. and my mental table of contents now has enough information in it that I know where to sort of go to reference things as I run into issues. It's kind of how I work. I can't actually learn something until I get my fingers into it. Which is why, like, for example, and this actually is kind of like what aligns with what Dharma said. Like when I buy a new product, like I just bought a 3D printer that's back over there that I talked about before. I thought a lot about, like, I could afford to buy $1,000 3D printer. Should I buy $1,000 3D printer? Everybody's telling me that these printers that are like $600 to $1,000 are great, are good ones. And these are like the people who've been using printers for a while, right? They're like, oh yeah, go right in and use that. I'm like, you know what? No, because I actually want to, I want to like try a few things before I find the right thing that that will work for me. I want to play around with stuff that is even maybe possibly subpar, so that I can understand where the faults and difficulties lie, so that when it comes time for me to make a really good purchase, I know specifically what things I want, what things I don't really care about, and what kind of like problems I want to make sure that the more expensive thing solves. And that's why perhaps it can be a great option to like take less expensive courses from different people before you dive in on like a more expensive thing they have, and just see, like, does it solve your problems? Or take a couple of them and find out which ones like work well for you, which ones solve your problems, which ones address the concerns that you have. I think it's totally a viable way to do it. And then when you're ready and you understand all the pros and cons, then you pull the trigger on the bigger thing, or then you pull the trigger on the big ad spend, at that point, or something like that. Let's see. Yasmin says, I just opened my own direct sales store, but it's all I can do to manage everything, even with my assistants. I make my ad person walk me through whatever we're doing because I don't often do enough to retain the process. That makes sense. I've got a couple of clients like that too, where I'm basically doing their ads for them, or I am doing their ads for them. I'm just keeping them up to date on what's going on. Some of them I just do videos. Like I'll do like a 10-minute video just walking them through what we're doing. That way we don't have to schedule a meeting. I can just do the video when I have a moment, and then they'll watch the video when they have a moment. With your direct sales store, Yasmin, are you doing physical sales or is it mostly digital sales? I'm curious about which way you're going with that. Or is the direct? When I first read this, I read that the direct sales store is what's causing the overload, but perhaps that's just you're already kind of overloaded, and that's another thing in the mix. I detect sarcasm, Troy. I got one that is self-leveling. That's one thing I learned. I cannot be bothered to deal with leveling the printer all the time. So I got one that's self-leveling. I'm already printing add-ons for it. Like I mentioned before, it's kind of funny to print mods for your printer. So your printer's like, it's meta. It's like a self-building robot at a certain point. Yeah, luckily this is like the base level model from this company called Creality. No, it's Creality. Okay, I've only ever said the word in my head. I never said it out loud before. Creality. It's only $219. And I got one that's slightly up from that. That's $299. One of the things that's kind of wild about that I realized is that having a 3D printer it can actually fulfill the retail therapy need. Because sometimes you're like, I just want to go shopping for a new thing, whatever that thing might be. Well, I can go to a website like Thingiverse. There's another one, the name I always forget, but I always remember Thingiverse. And I can just browse lots of free 3D models of things and then throw them in my printer and print it. And it's like shopping, except it only takes about it can take as much as like 13 hours to print something, but sometimes it only takes like 1 or 2. So anyway, segue into 3D printers there. Let's see. One of the things that helped me, I don't know who said this. Help with the course that worked for me was the in-depth lessons on testing, tracking, and brainstorming creatives. I think that might have been Dharma. That's cool. I'm glad that you found something that gave you that element there. Be careful if they're telling you it doesn't violate the TOS. Oh, for courses, yes, that is true. That's definitely true. Only selling ebooks. Okay, that's cool. I was just curious if you were. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, sorry, my brain sort of stopped while I read ahead. I think if you're going wide, anyone who goes wide would be I wanted to say foolish not to also make a Shopify store, but I'm not. I'm going to dial it back and say missing out on a great opportunity if you don't also run a direct sales store. Most of the people that I know who go wide and run a store, actually everybody that I've worked with personally who's gone wide and has a store, does more money off the store than they do off of the wide retailers, and generally before long is making as much money off their own store as they do off Amazon. It's coming, Troy. It's coming. Resin printing is coming. But apparently it's stinky, so I need to wait until the summertime when I'm not trapped in a room with it. Let's see. Planning doing once or twice a year sign book sale, but I don't have the spoons to continue. No, that's totally makes sense. I was talking to this one author, and she's like, she's actually hired people to help her with shipping all the print books, and she's like, this is not how I envision my author life going. She's like, I'm an author. I should be in a recliner with my feet up, banging on my keyboard, not taping boxes shut. And I would agree that I find shipping things to be, I don't know, it's anathema. It's anathema. It's that level. I can't handle shipping things. It's really hard for me to do. To the point where I think if I said this the last time I didn't do it, but the next time I do a Kickstarter, I am hiring someone to come in and actually do all the boxing up and the packaging and everything. And I'm also going to do fewer variations, so it's easier to keep track of who gets what. Back to ads. I wasn't happy with some of my new image I'm testing, so I reactivated the stuff from 2 weeks ago. That totally makes sense. The old ads can always be turned back on. 95% of the time, they will perform as they did when you turn them off, if it's within a relatively short period of time. If it's been a while, some of the audiences might have ceased to exist. 20 years in trad to indie 7 years ago. It's a whole different world. Oh, cool. It is a different world, though, that's for sure. Absolutely. I like the indie world, though. It's a fun world. That's cool. I'm glad that your direct sales have really taken off. That's awesome. Do you do signed copies of everything? Is that like part of the draw that you have, Dharma, for your direct sales, or do you think you would do well on physical copies if they weren't signed? I'm curious how that would shape up for you. Yes, that makes sense. That makes a ton of sense, Monique. I like that plan. Like, make it work. Do what works for you, kind of thing. You don't have to be doing all the things all the time. I'm curious though. Who here has omnibus editions, aka box sets, which I call omnibuses because there's no box, unless you actually are doing box sets, which you can do now. I think you can do them now through Book Vault. They said it was coming this spring. Yasmin does them. Facebook user does them. Larry does them. Yes, I've seen Larry's. Jill does them. Jill was the me person. Okay. Beverly has 2. Monique still needs to learn how to do that. When you say how to do that, do you mean digital ones or like an actual physical box set? I actually haven't. I know that Book Vault can do them because they were showing them at 20 Books in November, but I've not actually looked at how you actually have to produce everything for it myself yet. 18 books in one series. That's a lot. So are you doing like it's one set of 18 books? That's a lot of books. I'm guessing you're just going for the KU read. No, because you're wide. What are you selling? What price are you selling that at, Yasmin? 2 signed copies, considering option for vault. And that's valid. I guess it depends how many options you have. If it's only 3, that might be okay. But I guess if your product page also lists all the links off to the retailers, then it could get crowded. Most of the time, I've actually not tested with any direct sales scenario also having links to the retailers. I don't do that with anybody I work with. We just sort of figure like push the sale yourself, and if they really want it on Amazon, they'll go find it on Amazon. But I'm kind of curious how you do that. Both. Okay. Well, doing with the ebooks is pretty easy. You just make one big ebook file. that has everything in it. I mean, you do have to make sure that you build the table of contents correctly, of course, but that's really the hardest part. Oh, thank goodness. So I'm like, if you're in KU, I guess I could see that. But even 18 books in KU would probably go over 3,000 KE NPC, so you wouldn't end up being paid for some of that. So actually, unless they're really short, it absolutely would go over 3,000 KE NPC. For those of you who don't know, KE NPC is Kindle Edition Normalized Page Count. Amazon has their own way of determining what a page is. So when they're paying you for your page reads, it's for their determination of what a page is in your book. So if you actually go to the KDP info page for a book on the bookshelf in KDP, at the very bottom, you'll see how many pages are in there. On average, like a 400-page book is about 500 to 600 KE NPC. So you could imagine a box set of 6 400-page books six to eight 400-page books could actually contain more than 3,000 KE NPC. And if a single book on Amazon has more than 3,000 KE NPC, they won't pay you for reads past that point. The rest of the book gets read for free. So worth considering. Yeah, that's chonky. My longest for myself was only it's 16 books long if you count a couple of like novellas in there, but the main series is only 13 books long. Although I'm working with some authors now who have books up in the 30s, which is pretty wild. It's almost impossible to lose money on running ads for those things. Selling my direct sales only for half the cost full series. I like that. That's the way to do it, because you get the amount of read through you get makes it worth it to run it at a lower price. Oh, you mean oh yeah, Larry, on your Shopify store. Yeah. I think though, I guess it depends on how you get the books from BookFunnel to your device, because if BookFunnel delivers them all directly, then it's not a big deal. But if you're going to download the books, then you do have that issue. I actually don't use BookFunnel for delivering my ebooks to people. I just send them zip files with the EPUBs in them directly. Well, on Wix, I send them zip files with the EPUBs, and on Shopify, I just send them the EPUBs. Dharma's variants include ebook, signed paperback, signed hardcover. Plan to add audiobooks. Adding unsigned would be too much. No links to retailers. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, I got you. So signed, ebook, signed paperback, signed hardcovers, and audiobooks. Yeah, I would agree. Adding a fifth option there would be a lot. Unless you are going insane signing and shipping books, then I might. Maybe what you could do is you could be like, I need a break, and if you want the prints, now it's drop ship. And hey, I'm like, I can ship things again. My brain works, and then you can flip it back and forth. Yeah, that's fair. And KU does have trouble with a lot with people who are really cross genre. People who are very cross genre do seem to do better wide. Interesting. That's interesting. I wonder, the one thing I don't disagree with that, especially because if you're not, the biggest push for doing box sets is being in KU, right? Like that's where you really get the bang for the buck with bigger box sets. Except Audible, right? Because box sets do really well on Audible, or omnibuses do really well on Audible, and you have to have the book as an ebook or a print omnibus to get the Audible. But I guess if you were to make it on Amazon, get the ebook done, the omnibus ebook done, and then pull it off Amazon, that could also work. But then those people don't get the whisper sync, but if they're using the credit, it's okay. Oh, it's interesting. I hadn't thought of that particular angle yet, because that is, if you do have audiobooks, by the way, omnibus editions of audiobooks do significantly better than the standalones, because Audible listeners have gotten savvy, right? They've like, I got this one credit. I can either buy one book that's 5 hours long, or I can buy this omnibus edition that's 25 hours long with my one credit. What are they going to do? They're going to buy the longer thing. So if you already have not selling 6 books on Amazon for $99.99. No, I mean, you don't have to sell them for $9.99. You just put it up for $29.99 just so you get the listing, and then you get to make the audiobook from there. Or you do it at $19.99, which means you make the exact same amount. Well, then you would make the exact same amount of money you'd make at 99 cents. But something to think about, Yasmin. I did this math for folks in my Shopify class, but let me actually pull it up, because if you sell books standalone, if you've got 6 books and you're selling these books to readers on Amazon, you sell a given human being 6 books less than half the time. Less than half of the people that buy book 1 will buy all 6 books. So you're never making 6 times 5. You're making 6 times 2 or 3 usually is what your read through comes to. So let me actually just pop open Solaris, because I did like a quick. Oh no. Am I on the right one? I have to remember which password I used, which account I used for this. Where's my phone? I have to use a one-time login code to get into Solaris here. Hold, please. Solaris, by the way, is, for those of you who don't know, I'm sure everybody here has heard me talk about it before, but it is the software I wrote for doing read-through calculation that does have new versions coming that are doing more shiny things. But for now, I tried to put my Stripe code into Solaris. It's like, nope, that's for Stripe. That's not going to work. I mean, I didn't know it was for Stripe. 830. Oh, this is the best demo of all time. My code expired while I was typing it because I'm too slow. There we are. All right. StreamYard, present, share screen, share. Okay. Read through, wide series. All right. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Unless I'm in the wrong account. Here we are. Nope, this is exactly what I wanted. So this is a series. I'm just gonna make sure you guys can actually see my screen. Good. This is a series that I did. It's a 4-book long series, and each one of the books in this series sells for $5.99. And if you sell 100 books of book 1, I just made the math really easy, right? And you have 55% read through to book 2, which is excellent read through. Okay, so we sold 55 books of book 2, and let's say you've got just killer read through from here on out, 52 and 50 books. So book 4 is actually 50% read through from book 1, which is killer read through. Your read through value is $8.80 on these 4 books. And that's with killer read through, right? Because not only do you not get, when you sell book 1, you're not selling 4 books every single time. You're also only getting 70%, whereas when you do, the bigger box sets. So I guess this is an argument for Shopify. So the retailer is only giving you 70%. So when you do bigger box sets or omnibus editions on direct sales, you not only make like 95%, but you sell the whole thing at once. But that's sort of the angle too, though, that even if you are going to compare a $9.99 for, in this example, it's these 4 books that I priced at $4.99. At 6 books, I could see like it gets pretty hard to, unless your read through is terrible. At 6 books, the difference usually is quite a bit further apart. But if you sell this book at $9.99 and you make $7, you're like, okay, well, I do make more money selling these things individually. So you can kind of do the math. But I do recommend people do this math and sort of say, like, it's not like it's $20 versus $10. It's actually $8.80 versus $7 in this particular case. That's what the real difference of actual royalties that you get as an author look like in this 4-book example. And it's different for every series. So you have to do the math on your read through for your series individually, but it's always something I think is worth thinking about. A lot of people are like, well, I'm not going to take $30 worth of product and sell for $10. But it's like, well, there's no manufacturing cost. And if you can sell more of them consistently at a consistently higher per purchase conversion price, one of them actually might be better. It'd be entirely different if this was a manufactured product, of course, and we had fixed manufacturing costs. But we don't have fixed manufacturing costs. So it's a bit of a different ball of wax. All right, so that's just my thoughts on that. You can, but the royalty rate drops 35%. Sorry. Oh, that was Jill answering Yasmin's question. Yes, as Yasmin said, I didn't think you could do a box set over $9.99, and you can. Yeah, like Jill says, it just drops to 35%. But yeah, if you don't have the need for audio, then obviously that whole argument falls through. I was sort of just spitballing, thinking like you do a lot better with audio when there's a box set for it. But if you don't want to have the box sets on Amazon, and there are valid reasons for not wanting to do that, you might have like killer read through, and you are losing a ton of money by making a box set. And obviously, all of this only applies to when you're wide. If you're in KU, boxes are going to make a bunch of money regardless, if they make any money at all. If they're selling, they're getting lots of reads, and you make decent money. You make as much money. I guess what I'm trying to say, if you're in KU, you'll make as much money from the box set as you would from the standalones. Like there's no big discounts you're offering or anything like that. But if you did want, if you say, for example, you had my hypothetical 4-book series, and you want to get an Audible as a 4-book series so that you can get those sweet credits from people, you could always just list it and take it down after the audiobook's up. I think that would still work, or you could just list it at a crazy high price. For those of you who are curious, by the way, the reason why royalty drops to 35% above $9.99, I think I mentioned this a while back, was to stop people laundering money on Amazon, because they would be, if you could put up a bunch of ebooks on Amazon and then sell them through your money laundering scheme, and the books are all $1,000 a pop, and you get 70% clean money back, because laundered money, there's always a loss. The laundering process ends up costing you a percentage, but you get $700 in clean money from Amazon back. That was a great deal. So Amazon had to fight the money laundering stuff, and that's why they made it so they don't have that. That's why the royalty rate drops to 35%, because 35% is not a good enough money laundering rate to make it a viable option. Yeah, Danica, you were chatting with Jill. I saw that. It's okay. I'm actually kind of done. I want to talk a bit about backlist stuff, but we wandered around a bunch and had a really fun chat. I like this a lot. I look forward, Yasmin, to more stories of your amazing success doing your direct sales, and hopefully you get it all managed well, so it's not killing you. I hope Dharma doesn't get like carpal tunnel from the packaging to constantly be ripping the packing tape as you ship just acres of books. I'm here for it. But I am going to jet, because I've got a call in just a few minutes, and I want to get ready for that. But it was super swell chatting with all of you folks. I hope you have hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, and as things warm up. And the first day paid for 5 months worth of Shopify fees. That is awesome, Yasmin. Congrats. Those of you who didn't see over on YouTube land. First day of sales on Shopify, paid for a lot. So that is fabulous. But yeah, we'll talk backlist next time. We can talk about a lot of tactics for that. I've got a large backlist. You might know I've got 120 some odd books in it. And I work with a lot of authors actually that have some large backlists too. Some of them actually might be in similar situations to you, Yasmin, that they're actually Harlequin authors. In a lot of cases, they're pulling their books back, or pulled their books back, and we're like working on launch schedules for them and stuff like that. So backlist stuff do be fun. All right, I'll see you guys later. Have a fab week. I will be around next week, but the week after I won't, because I'm going to be at FutureCon in New Orleans. So that'll be tons of fun. Also, we've had someone reach out to us, probably after listening to me give terrible tax advice in at various points, who would be interested in doing. She's going to be starting a course on how authors can do their own bookkeeping, and would love to come on and talk about tax and how to like file and manage your own taxes as an author, which I think is something that a lot of people might be interested in. I'm certainly interested in it. I like if if not doing it myself, at least knowing how to do it myself. Because if you know how it's done and how it should be done, then you're less likely to be bilked by other people. So even if you choose to outsource afterward, or it might just help solidify your decision. Like, hell yeah, I'm outsourcing this. This is insane. Or you might be like, hey, my brain works this way. I can do that. So that's totally something that that we'll be doing soon, I think. So I will, again, see you guys all later. Have a great time. Great time, great weekend, great morning, whenever you're watching this. Have a good one.